Hi everybody, I'm Sébastien Begri. So here we are for the 5th episode of Ganja Samurai, the investigation of the roots of cannabis in ancient Japan. And today we're going to go for a special episode. So as I was saying in the previous episode that I invite you to look in the bio, I was in a Nikko temple. And after that, I was at the Nazu Cannabis Museum, Taima Museum, where I found there's a strange connection between the symbol of cannabis, which is what you can see the pattern on my shirt, Asanoa, which looks like a Star of David, and looking into investigation into this old document called the Takeuchi Document. They are talking about the tomb of Jesus Christ that is existing in Japan. So I continue my journey to explore that mystic story. So leaving from Nasu, I was going back on the train, taking the Shinkansen, this famous bullet train, up to Hachinohe, which is like 3 hours from Nasu. Arriving there, I took a rental car, so I had to experience this tiny Japanese car, just like you can see in those manga or anime. And here I am in Hachinohe, renting my car. I arrived actually quite late. It was about 4:20 in the afternoon. And the site where I was aiming, it was a village called Shingō, which is like about 40 minutes drive from Hachinohe. So here I am with my small car, going through the small village. So it was like very interesting background because basically it was in the middle of nowhere in Japan. So it's way up north, Hachinohe, at the border with Hokkaido Island, which is the northern island of Japan, close to Siberia. So it's just like a bit below. And here I'm driving in the middle of those rice fields. So it was very nice view. And after like 40 minutes driving, I finally arrived in this small village called Shingō. And here I am looking at those roadside and I see the tomb of Christ. So I was very very intriguing to see it, and arriving on the site was very mind-blowing because then you can see that there is like the cross of Christ, and it's on the Shinto site, so it's not a Christian site. Actually, I don't believe that this site is even recognized by the mainstream Christianity, but it is recognized by the Japanese tradition as well as the Shinto spirituality. So they actually have some celebration every year on the site about harvesting. So it's like in the months of May, they have a special dance around the tomb. So here I am on this site. And the first thing that really got my attention was this information panel where they explained what was at stake in this tomb of Christ. They are talking about that Christ was basically coming to Japan at the age of his early 20s, coming from Jerusalem, Judea, where he actually took the road of Slick. So he went through India, Nepal, going through Pakistan as well, and arriving in Japan. And where they say that basically he spent like about 10 years of his life to study the art of divinity and spirituality of Japan, which making the connection sounds like that Jesus came to Japan to study Shinto religion, as this is the main spirituality beliefs in the country, and which kind of fill a gap because if you look in the Bible, as we read the story of Jesus when he got born, so the famous Christmas time, until the age of 12, we have his storyline. But then from that age, there is not much being described in the Bible. Only after when he comes back to Jerusalem to give his teaching, and then we know the follow-up. So it kind of filled the gaps of where Jesus could have been between all that time. I'm not sure if that is the official version, but according to the Japanese belief, they say that he came in his early 20s to study Shintoism in Japan. And the funny, I mean, I don't know if it's funny, but very also interesting story here is that not only he went to Japan to study spirituality, but afterward he went back to Judea, where he started to actually teach his new beliefs. So I presume he was teaching about the message of Buddha and Shintoist culture regarding the animist aspect to it, as Shinto is really dedicated to honoring the spirit of animals, of trees, of rocks, as they believe that everything has a spirit, and this is very important to honor the spirit, to keep the good fortune and good health. And so what they say is that basically Jesus went back to Judea, gave his preaching, including this new knowledge he gained from Japan, but unfortunately he was not welcome with his new teaching, which people wanted to get him crucified. And where it got very interesting is that they are saying that Jesus Christ didn't get crucified, but he was his brother. So when I arrived on this side, they're also talking about that Jesus had a brother, and it's apparently him that died on the cross. And then after the crucifixion of his brother, Jesus took the ash of his brother and went back to Japan. And so they are saying that he arrived back around the age of 36, something like this, and he stayed in Japan until the age of 106 years old. So that was the claim on this site, which was kind of a shock for me, but also very interesting. I really felt like I was in some kind of like Indiana Jones adventure. So here I am, after looking at this information panel, looking back, that I see those two crosses, one facing each other. So one crosses is supposed to be Christ, and the other cross is supposed to be his brother. The Japanese call him Isukiri, and actually even Jesus was called himself Ishikiri. According to Japanese. This is actually a study that was made in a university in Canada, where a scholar in theology actually tried to revisit the fact about the claim of did Christ visit Japan. So it's actually an academical study. Here, well, it's not the best pictures, but we will show you better pictures on the video of the actual site, so you can see the two crosses. This is Jesus Christ, and this is his brother. And yeah, so a very, very, very intriguing situation that I am in. And as I go through the site, I recognize that there is nothing about Christianity in itself, meaning there is no church or there is no priest. Christian, there's just like a museum, and in front there's like a Shinto tombs or a few funeral places where some of people of the village have been buried. And what they are saying is that as Jesus lived until the age of 106 years old, he also had a Japanese wife, and he also had children. So it was very, very fascinating. That was the first day. So as I say, I arrived quite late. So that means when I arrived on the site, it was a little bit after 5 o'clock. And after 5 o'clock, all the shrine or sacred place are closed. So the museum was actually closed. So unfortunately, I had to come back the other day. And I also had to do my check-in to my bed and breakfast. So I take my small Japanese car and to drive about like 15 minutes, 20 minutes to Shingō, to another village next to it, to meet my host for my stay overnight. And it was very interesting because when I arrived in the bed and breakfast, so it was in a house of a local villager, and the particularity is that the owner of the house, she is well known in Japan for being a champion of traditional Japanese guitar, it's called Shamisen, and also champion of traditional Japanese singing. So it was very interesting to dive also in this authentic culture, which was really significant to the tradition around the Aomori region. So the place where Achinoe, where I arrived by train, and the village, all this northern region in front of Hokkaido, it's called Aomori region. And so the dancing, singing, and traditional Shamisen playing was coming directly from our tradition from Aomori. So it was very interesting, and she made a special invitation. So on the next day, because I stay for 2 nights, she invited a local journal to actually come and talk about her activity of hosting people or for traditional dance and singing, and as well as to interview me as well. So I was like, yeah, no problem. So I spent the night over, and the next day I go back to the Tomb of Christ to actually visit the museum. And when I arrived in the museum, it was very interesting because the first things they start to talk about is that in this village, so there is the story of Jesus coming into Japan, but they also have a whole story about a group of Judaic people actually living in this same region. Here I have a small pictures of the kids that they were, the newborn baby, they were making a cross on their forehead as a sign of good health and good fortune. They also had like a traditional wearing and clothing, which was typical from Judaic tradition. So probably Jesus brought the culture, or maybe it came by itself. And what was very interesting is that they are talking about the travel of Jesus coming there and him bringing his also a culture locally. And this is something that was mentioned in the Takeuchi Documents. So at the end of the museum tour, they had a small library where they had this document, and in this document was very intriguing because so not only they talk about Jesus Christ, but they actually talk about on the bigger pictures that the founder of Japan were people coming from the sky and who were the first emperor and who actually gave the teaching to human on how to live prosperity and one with nature in harmony, so to have a balanced social life. And what was very particular is that they're also talking about that Moise came to Japan, that he could have took the 10 commandments from the emperor of Japan. So this was a very folkloric story, which I have no idea of the extent of how true this is, but I'm born Christian, so it was very shocking and intriguing to find these special roots. Nevertheless, what was also very interesting is that they also talk about the existence of pyramids in Japan. And it turned out that during the visit, they were talking about that there is a pyramid not very far from the Tomb of Christ. So I was like, wow, what is this? I need also to check this out. And so after finishing the tour, finding out those very amazing and strange documents, which date actually more than 1,500 years old. Takeuchi, it was the name of the family, the priest family that were keeping those documents secretly for thousands of years, and on which they, according to the story, was supposed to be revealed to the public at the time of the end of time. So basically, after the First World War, the priest came out with the document, and that brought a lot of enthusiasm and curiosity from Japanese archaeologists and theologians to find out if there was any evidence in his book. And one of them went on the quest to finding about this pyramid connection. And so here I am finding out these really like unexpected stories, and so I took the car to actually check out what was it about this pyramid. So it turned out that the pyramid itself, it's a natural made mountain. From outside you will not notice it's a pyramid, so I just took the car and then I drove like maybe 10 minutes way up the cliff. And arriving there, what was interesting was that they claim as a pyramid because it's perfectly aligned with the 4 quadrants of the compass. So there is a strict alignment to the north, to the south, to the east, to the west. And they are also having like some local story about this site. And this site again is a Shinto site. So there was a small Shinto shrine to make the offering and to make a wish. And it was very, very, very fun to see that there was all this connection. This is a little map of, here you can see the cross of the Tomb of Christ, and here was the pyramid itself. So I took this journey. For me, it was very interesting to see that that's from this folkloric Jesus Christ story. As we know from the Bible that the Judaic tradition is using cannabis, and as we've seen in previous episode that in the Shinto tradition, cannabis is a big role in terms of purification and in terms of the Shinto spirituality. I found it very interesting, this direct connection where it could be that maybe Jesus or the Judaic tradition, as we talked, that Moise also was maybe in Japan, as we know also from the Bible in Hebrew that when Jesus went to Mount Sinai to get the Ten Commandments, that he had to prepare himself small ointments or a beverage with what's composed with cannabosem in Hebrew, which means the fragrance of cannabis. So we know, and if you will question any rabbinic, they will understand and they know that there is a strong connection. Actually, in Israel, they have medical cannabis now for over 10 years, and I went there for some conferences, and I've been able to talk to some rabbins where they completely acknowledged the use of cannabis by the priest of Solomon and all the prophet. So I found here a very straightforward connection toward Shinto cannabis and Christianity connection. So as I said, through all my journey, I was kind of an investigation, a little bit like Indiana Jones, trying to, from piece to piece, figure out what was this whole ancient connection. But it looks like that Japan can answer a lot of the missing links, but there's still a lot of investigation to be taken. After all this adventure, I felt a bit on a mission to tell the people about this ancient connection with cannabis and Japan. And as I've been working and sponsoring this booklet, it's called Sustainable Policy for Cannabis Toolkit. So this is actually a mandate to the Agenda 2030 at the United Nations, and this gives all the toolkits on how cannabis can help for sustainable development in any nation with different subjects: poverty, zero hunger, health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, affordable and clean energy. And with this document, I'm working right now on translating into Japanese, because as I say, even so there's all these amazing stories about cannabis in Japan, but cannabis in Japan is still very much prohibited. And in the Japanese culture, even so, when you talk about those historical facts to Japanese people, they will acknowledge it and be like, oh, interesting. But it will be still hard for them to grasp, even to see a cannabis plant. And so by translating this book in Japanese, I'm hoping to help policymakers and activists to have the tools to actually be able to engage in a positive discussion toward the liberalization of cannabis. And that will be our next episode, where we will dive into the policy and the more activist aspect for lobbying for cannabis in the world. Thank you. Hit the follow and click the like button. Thank you.